Spread the love. Spread the love.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Rise Above Podcast with yours truly, LadyBee Queen. Today we are here with Raquel.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome, Raquel. And you're here today joining us to talk about a book that you recently released, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you guys, the book is called Legacy, The Legacy. And I'm going to let you jump into telling us a little bit about yourself and what this book is about.
Yes. Well, as you all already know, because she formally introduced me, my name is Raquel Gary, and I'm born and raised right here in Delray Beach, Boynton Beach area. Been here most of my life. A military brat, though, so I did, live like in Japan and some sorts like that. But came back to the States at 9 years old. Been here ever since. Been writing since I was little. Always had the dream of being an author, being a writer. So today you guys are going to get to see the dream that came true, basically.
Awesome. So The Legacy, this book is inspired by
my grandparents.
Okay.
Yes, their love stories. So The Legacy is about my grandparents, Pastors Richard and Emma Butler. They are the pastors of New Christian Life Church, right out on Old Boynton Road. And they went through a lot of things. We built the church that we have right now out on Old Boynton. But before we built that church, there was a lot of trials and tribulations that they went through to get to where they are right now as pillars in the Boynton Beach and Delray community. It all started on the basketball court. That's why you kind of see the cover there of The Legacy. It's a depiction of my grandparents at Carver High School on the basketball court where they met, and they are looking out into everything that God has for them. So The Legacy is their story and how they overcame trials and tribulations.
And did you go to Carver?
I went to Carver Middle School, the new Carver, the one that you see, off Barwick or something like that. They went to the old Carver. That's a little different.
I did 1 year in the old Carver.
Really?
Yeah,
oh.
Carver Middle, though.
When you went, yeah.
So when they went, it was Carver High.
It was Carver High. Okay. Yeah, I think they call it Delray Full Service Center now. So It's still there, just a new name.
Okay. So you talk a lot about your grandparents' legacy, right? Yes. So what do you feel like you have learned from it that was so inspiring that you yourself wanted to apply to your own life, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
And that you would like to share with other people to see if it would work for them, I'm assuming.
Yeah, well, just watching them never give up. I mean, along with listening to their story, being a PK, for those of you who don't know, that means preacher's kid. You watch your grandparents go through things in the church. You watch your parents go through things in the church. And you see the good, you see the bad, you see the ugly, you see everything. And I watch them overcome it, and I know we all have dreams and aspirations that we want to do, and listening to their story helped me overcome my fear and, accomplish my dream of being a writer, seeing everything that they went through, but yet they didn't let anything stop them from, accomplishing their goal. So they helped me, and I wanted to share that with the world, so that the world, anybody out there that wants to accomplish their dream, the story is to help you to never give up.
Awesome. And how did it come about to give you the idea to write the book?
It was a joke, honestly. I was sitting in my grandparents', you'll hear me slip up and say Manga and Dagwa. That's our little nicknames for them. Okay. But I was sitting in their living room, and my Manga, who's my grandmother, Emma Butler, she was like, Raquel's going to write a book about us one day. And, a couple of us were in the living area, a couple of family members, and we all laughed because that never crossed my mind to write a book about them. I had always wanted to be an author, but I never thought that I would be writing about them. And so that's just kind of how it started. And this was probably like 2010. I was living in Orlando at the time because I went to UCF, and I was like here for the holidays. And she said it, we laughed. I didn't think about it for like a year. And then after that, the more I came home and would sit with them, I would find out different things. Like my grandfather was the first pastor in Boynton Beach to ordain women as ministers, during a time where women weren't allowed in the pulpit. We still kind of see that today a little bit,
Right.
but, he was one of the first to do it way back when it was so big and even made the newspaper. You'll see clips of it. If you read the book, I put clippings of that newspaper article in there, and finding out how my granddaddy was one of the first African Americans to preach at an all white church back in like the 60s. I'm listening to things that they actually went through, and how they came and built their church. We started off in the AME church, and there was a whole exodus from that, them leaving that to go and start something in their living room, that came to fruition today. Just hearing all of that, I'm like, I'm gonna just start jotting some stuff down. And those notes that I started taking, it actually became a book. So I guess my mom God was right. It wasn't a joke after all.
Spoke it into existence.
Exactly. That's what happened.
And you have a beautiful family of your own, right?
I do. A family in the making. I do. I do have a boyfriend. His name is Gary Bryant, and he's been very, very supportive of me in this process. Even just now coming in, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of people who actually laughed at me when I told them that I was writing a book. And these are people that I thought that would actually stand behind me and want to, rock with me. But that wasn't the case. It was a joke to them.
Welcome to the club.
I'm experiencing it, And then, when he came in and he wasn't intimidated by the type of woman that I am or my success or the fact that I wanted to write a book. He stood right beside me, and he's been beside me this whole time. And with him comes two handsome princes that, I now have basically adopted as my own. So, we're just seeing what God does in this newfound family that I have.
Awesome. And I'm assuming a lot of what you learned from your grandparents, you carry into your own relationship.
Yes, right? I do. I mean, watching their marriage and watching their love and watching how they interact, and even my parents, Pastors Timothy and Joycelyn Gary, I try to apply that, in my relationship now, because I do hope to be a wife and a mother one day. So, those are other aspirations that I have. So when it comes to love, I do look to my grandparents, and, I hope their love story, and I talk about it in the book as well, can inspire other people, as well.
Right. Awesome. So tell us about your experience of, wanting to what inspired you to be an author?
I mean, I've been writing for a long time. Like back when I lived in Japan, and I was like in second grade, my Spanish teacher, I don't know why they used to teach us Spanish over there, whatever. Mm-hmm. But my Spanish teacher, she used to make us like write little short stories, and that's just kind of, I became fascinated with writing short stories because of, my second grade teacher. And I always just have crazy things in my head. So I'm always just writing creative things down. I write a lot of songs, I do that as well. So there's always just been this writer, in me. Even when I went to high school, shout out to the Atlantic Eagles. I wrote for the school paper, I've just kind of always been, writing. So I didn't think it would become this. I really did it. The inspiration behind the book is solely my grandparents, but the inspiration behind my writing, I've just always loved to write.
Right.
Yeah.
And what kind of stories do you like to write about?
That the first time I actually called myself trying to write, a book in my adult age, it was more so, it's called You Are a Queen. I still haven't finished it yet. It'll probably be book number 2.
Okay.
And that's more so a self-help type book. Yeah. I have this huge heart for young girls.
Here we go.
Yeah, definitely. I have this huge heart for young girls when it comes to self-esteem and confidence, right. and how to, get your confidence up and, just go out there and know the queen that you are. So a lot of my books will probably be geared towards that. I mean, even the legacy, after I'm done talking about my grandparents' story, it turns into a self-help. Like, how can you apply this to your life? How can you go out and establish your own legacy? How can you persevere and never give up on your dreams? So I want to help people. So my category will probably be down that aisle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a big believer in like giving back, right? Giving value to people. But yeah, so just so you know, I go by LadyBee Queen, and what that means is literally LadyBee Queen. So from every queen in the universe, we salute each other, fix each other's crown.
I love it.
Right? So I'm all about that. So what's next for you?
You know, this has just kind of been, I'm really just promoting the book right now. Any type of book signing that I'm, getting booked for, I'm out doing that. We just had one at New Christian Life. It was a great success. Awesome. I've had a couple of people reach out to me about doing some more book signings. So right now, promoting this book, there are even talks of a movie. I'm just going to kind of speak it, but everybody that reads the book,
you go.
Yeah, like everybody that reads the book and everybody that watches the promotional video that I put out before the book. Shouts out to my brother, Jarrell, the Rel, Christian rapper. He does videography and he did an amazing job and on the promo video. And when you watch it, everybody gets the feel of a movie. And many people have come up to me and like, yo, we can see this like on Lifetime, or we need something to combat Greenleaf because it's making us look bad, something like that. So as far as the book goes, definitely, I'm gonna just go ahead and speak it. Definitely like a movie.
Right. Speaking into
in the works. More books. I gotta finish You Are a Queen now that I've actually said it. People may be looking for it now. Gonna finish that. I have a whole nother set of grandparents, Laura Gary and Alfred Anderson. He's a war veteran and he sits and tells me stories, so many stories that he went through when he was a veteran and over in Africa. And so I may write his story next. He's been asking me, people have come to me and are asking me how I did it. They want me to now coach them on how to write a book. So, that could be in the works too. I just think so many doors are being opened. At this point, I can just kind of pick and choose which one to walk through,
Exactly. So the experience of writing the book, how was that? Like, what challenges did you face?
It was, pretty tedious.
How did you put it all together to say, look, I'm going to publish this book and release it? Well, I'm sure a lot of us would like to write a book, right? So can you give us some insight on what that process is?
Yeah. Well, after, the joke was made, by my grandmother and then I started, writing, I did have an original draft put together that I thought was good. And it is probably, if the original conversation took place in 2010, I think by like 2012, I had a draft and I sent it to a publishing company and they actually told me no. At first I got, I got very discouraged. They were like, you need to write more, and I never been one to really want to write a thick, Harry Potter type novel because I don't finish it. So I don't know, so I wanted to write an easy read, but they were like, you need to write more, we like what you're trying to do, but we don't want the story. So I literally put it down for like maybe 3 or 4 years. It was collecting dust in my apartment and it was just very discouraging. I didn't want to write anymore. But then all of a sudden, probably around 2015, I got this urge, like, you need to pick it up and you need to finish it, Raquel, and that's actually where the piece about how to apply it to your own life comes into play. Right. Because at first it was just my grandparents' story. But when I picked it back up, all of a sudden I just started writing. Like, honestly, in 30 minutes, I had written 11,000 words that they wanted more. So I was like, well, what if I talk about how to apply it to your own life? So I did that, sent it back to them, and 4 different publishing companies, so 5 in total, then everybody wanted it. So, at this point now I had my pick who I wanted to go with, and I went with Christian Faith Publishing. They offered the best deal, and ever since then, it's just been about, I'm a perfectionist, forgive the Virgo in me. So, they would send me copies and I would read it. Okay, no back. I got to send it back. I got to add this. I got to add pictures. I got to do this. And then finally, 2019, it came out. Yeah. Okay. So it was a process, but worth the wait. It was about my grandparents. I didn't want to put out crap, so yeah. Right.
So you said earlier, let's just go back to this real quick because I think this is very important, right? Because just in case you weren't aware of like what this show is about, it's interviewing entrepreneurs on their entrepreneurship journey, the pros and cons to it, as well as we talk about self-growth, self-love, right? So you mentioned earlier how like, when you first started this project, the people who you thought would be there for you weren't. Right.
Yeah.
So let's go back to that a little bit.
Okay.
What would be your advice to those that are chasing their dreams? Because that's a journey that you're on.
Well, when dealing with naysayers, honestly, get rid of them. I mean, to be quite honest, and I kind of speak about it a little bit in the book. I make a comment where I say sometimes when God is trying to take you to a new level, everybody can't go with you, and that doesn't. You'll see who the real people are, that's surrounding you. I couldn't have anybody in my ear telling me that this wasn't going to happen. I couldn't have anybody laughing at me. I was already discouraged. The people didn't want my book in the beginning, so I was already battling that. The last thing I needed was more naysayers around me telling me that it's not going to happen. Like I even still have some today when I tell people it sold out on Amazon at one point. Somebody said, well, they maybe only send a certain amount of books to Amazon. That's why it sold out so quickly. Like, wow, you couldn't just say congratulations,
Right.
You just have to block all of that negativity out of your brain, because if you don't, it's really going to cause you not to move forward in what your heart's desire is. So anybody that's in your circle that may be telling you that you can't do it, or they're laughing at you, or they're saying, well, this other person is doing it, so what you're trying to do it for, like, you need to just cut those people out of your life and just completely ignore what they're saying, or else you never will accomplish anything. And the whole point is for you to accomplish what you want to accomplish and be successful at it. And in order for you to do that, you need to surround yourself with the right people. And if that means cutting off family members, cut them off. It's okay.
Right. Right. And I think some of us, as we start the journey of going after our dreams, we realize that, okay, we need to remove some folks out of our lives, right? But I think the mistake that some people do and don't realize is replacing those people with the right type of people that they need to be around. Right?
Exactly. That's why I say make sure you surround yourself with the right people. You don't want to isolate yourself from everybody and now you're alone. You have no type of support system at all.
Exactly.
Like, you don't want to do that. You want to, I always believe that if God removes somebody from your life, that he places somebody else into their spot who is better for you, and they're exactly what you need.
Right.
You may have thought you have wanted such and such, but this person is who you need, and then they turn out to be better than what you ever wanted. So, when you're cutting people out of your life, and you don't have to do it maliciously, it could just be you not paying attention to anything that they say. Make sure you still surround yourself with the pillars. Iron sharpens iron. So
definitely, girl. Thank you.
Yeah.
That awesome sauce. So who are some of your favorite authors?
Oh my goodness. Probably people I shouldn't say. I'm a huge fan of Eric Jerome Dickley. I used to read his stuff a lot. I love Joel Osteen books. I'm actually reading a book that his mother wrote. Dr. Cindy Trim. She's a great author. I think she's like right out of Fort Lauderdale or something like that. Oh my goodness. There's somebody else. Oh, I can't remember his name. He's white. I remember that though. But I don't know. I read a lot of books. So a lot of I do like a lot of powerful women. I haven't gotten my hand on Michelle Obama's book yet. I need to get my hands on that. I do want to read that. I heard it's powerful. But those are just a few, to name.
And I know you're like, very spiritual. You grew up in a spiritual surrounding, right? So who are some of your favorite preachers? preachers.
My granddaddy, Pastor Richard
course.
Butler.
Not forget family.
Whole family, grandmother, Emma, mom, Prophetess Joycelyn Gary, my dad, Pastor Timothy Gary. I'm in a family full of preachers, so I could list them all, but I won't do that. Serena Jakes is pretty dope to me. That's TD Jakes' daughter. She's really good. Jacqueline Carr, I like when she speaks as well. Let me see here. Some of my people that I like to listen to. Creflo. I'm a huge Creflo Dollar fan. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I'm not big on the tele-evangelistic, people, but there are a few that can grab my attention, every now and then. I can never say her name right, but Hilliard, Persia. She was in War Room. The girl, the main character in War Room, Persia Hilliard. Forgive me for saying her name wrong, but she's a good one too.
So while we're on this topic, right? What's your perception on, them saying that these preachers have all this money and living in these mansions and
oh goodness. This conversation's getting good. Okay. Here's my take. I have no problem with Christians being rich. I feel like we're supposed to be. My father is the King of Kings, so he doesn't want us to be poor. I don't care what anybody says. My issue is, are there some crooked preachers out there that take money and go do what they want to do with it, and they have no desire to build God's kingdom with it, or build their congregation with it, or build their community with it? They're definitely out there, and I don't rock with them at all. My problem is they give us all a bad name, and we're all not like that. All preachers are not like that. New Christian Life, we've come a long way. We're like, right now, the money we have, we're using that up to set up a fund to go out to the Bahamas, because the hurricane just hit, It's about putting money back into, the community. Me and my boyfriend, we talk about it all the time. More preachers need to be doing that. I don't care if I see a preacher with a Porsche, your congregation better have some Porsches too, like if the head, you need to be stunting like your daddy, So if the head is, like that, the whole congregation should be flourishing, because you should be explaining to us how to flourish, how to do it,
And that's exactly what I was going to come back with, right? Creflo is one of my favorite preachers. And a lot of people, could be because of the name or whatever, however he conduct his way of his teachings, right? But to me, he's proof in the pudding, because his congregation stands just as strong as he does. Right? So he's teaching them, he's feeding them something where they're able to gain from it and grow and see it for themselves. Right. So in that sense, I feel like, they're entitled to what it is that they're building, what they have, because they're giving it back to their own and others.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't understand why people don't see that. A lot of people have this issue with, I guess they call it prosperity preaching. For whatever reason, there's this notion that preachers are supposed to be poor, and Christians are supposed to be poor too. I don't know what God you serve, but that's not going to be me. So however, I'm not going to be a crook either. So it's all about knowing what to do with it. The Bible does tell us, money is the root of all evil, but I believe it says that it means like it brings out who you really are. So if you're an evil person and you getting some money, then, we're going to see that fruit, but that doesn't make us all, like that. That's my whole thing.
Definitely.
But I'm all for a preacher having a Porsche and a Mercedes and all that stuff, but I need to see your congregation. I need to see your community. I need to see everybody
and living their best life. Saying that they're more so motivational speakers versus preachers.
Yeah, everybody needs to be politically correct now for whatever reason. or they're like inspiration. I see that a lot in gospel artists now. They're not even calling themselves like gospel artists. They're like inspirational artists. It's like, okay, are we ashamed? Now. It's a lot going on. So hopefully those of us that still have our type of mindset will raise up, and maybe change the culture back to the way it was.
Definitely. Don't forget who makes it all happen.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Amen.
Right. So tell us, where can we find your book?
Well, it is available on the Barnes & Noble's website. So you just go to barnesandnobles.com and you type in The Legacy, Raquel Gary. It will pop up. It's also available on amazon.com. You could type it in the same way, The Legacy, Raquel C Gary, and it'll pop up. And Apple iTunes as well. You can get it on Apple iTunes. Or if you want, feel free to contact me. I have copies. If you're local in the area and you're like, I don't want to pay no shipping and handling fee, Raquel, I'll get the book from you. You can reach me via email, raquel.gary@gmail.com. That's RAQUEL.GARY@gmail.
Are you on social media?
Yes, I am. I am on Facebook, Raquel C Gary. Once again, I have to throw that C in there. There's a lot of Raquel Garys, oddly. Mm-hmm. So, you can find me on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram, and that's Raquel C Gary too. Yeah.
So The Legacy, you guys, congratulations on everything, girl.
Thank you, love. Thank you.
Alrighty, you guys, thank you for tuning in. Until next time.
It's what's holding us back. We need word of encouragement, pat on the back. We need good friends we can depend on. Talking about building, I'm talking about brainstorm. Stay woke, gotta have the proper mindset. Keep yourself in check, strive for the best. Life is like a game of chess. Even if you have a checker pass, gotta have the courage. Don't be afraid to ask. We on the mission. We complete every task. Let freedom ring. Yeah, we free at last. Yeah, we free at last. Let freedom ring. Yeah, we free at last. Gotta rise above. Gotta spread the love. Gotta build a dynasty. Them versus us. Once you take success, it's never enough. Gotta build a winning circle. Establish trust.